slept in our apartment and all meals out.
That's what so annoying. That's what I do. No, it was the 12th.
Yesterday was the 12th.
Last night, which means today, 12. It's very easy this year because 5 is Thursday.
I just want to make sure. So the day before, last night was
the 12th.
Okay.
What did I really know? I said, what time is it now? I do, but he doesn't know what time.
We have to go to work. I won't be here this time.
No?
It's too long a walk.
Yeah, it's going to be like rainy, you mean, a little bit also. Oh, you're going to be in Lawrence? You're going to be in Lawrence.
Yeah, I need a passport to go.
Come by to my house. Come by. Come by. We'll find it. It's okay. We could do it. Yeah, yeah.
I used to do it.
Yeah, of course.
It was a 45-minute walk.
I know. It's a long walk. It's a really long walk. It really is.
I'm good.
Morning.
Did we get to Kaufman Science? I think so, right? I should take my mark. Yeah, I should mark it exactly. Maybe I'm missing. Am I missing? Or we didn't get there?
Kaf Gimel.
Kaf Gimel. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I overshot. I don't know why. Maybe Hafez. Yeah. I think I missed the boat. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I don't know why I did he say? I'm just trying to remember. No, he would never have moved forward. We could have moved back, but he would not have moved forward. Right. How's that?
Very nice.
Yeah. So gear ready. I didn't see you. Oh, shit. I sent the link.
They send out the pages?
Yeah. Come on. We're not small. I sent that already. Oh.
I want to do the wiring. He has to get the wiring to do it. I want to do that.
Oh, whatever, yeah.
I'm sending them to search. I want to make sure I'm going to page. Yeah, I said I'm sending them to start. I want to make sure I'm going to page. Oh, yeah.
What's up, Moshe?
Welcome back.
That's a Mexican.
Did you?
We just finished the Maimer before Yontif, the Maimer of Nesina Tzad al Merchavim on page Kuf Chafal. What we're up to, we're going to do is a longer note at the back of the Sefer that we're going to read inside. We're talking about, I guess the best thing is to just review the one sentence of Ki Hu Chai B'Heichel Ha'elyon Shel HaNeshama Shelo. There's a person who lives in the Heichel Ha'elyon, in the higher chamber of his own Neshama. He lives in the Heichel Ha'elyon Shel HaNeshama. Who's this person that lives in the Heichel Ha'elyon? It sounds like somebody who's, is in a state of dvekas and is meditating and is makubal. So the Mechaber explains, no, somebody who's doing for other people. When you go outside of yourself, then you are escaping from that symptom of the guf, and you're entering into a world of merchavim, of expansiveness, of chofish, of freedom, of ein sof. And therefore, the Mechaber was explaining there's no other way to understand the deepest pleasure that a person has. He gave a marshal of this, God forbid, a child who's not well, and you give this child a candy or a gift, and the child's eyes light up and brings him some chiyas. There's no greater moment that a person can have than doing for somebody else. Because at that moment when you're doing for somebody else, you're taking, as he said, it's the neshama is pulsating, the neshama is alive, the neshama is making itself present in your life. You're getting out of that small, tiny, miserable symptom of ani, of me, and you're entering into an infinite world of ata, of who, enkel akenu, the world of the neshama, and therefore. The biggest mistake he was explaining, the biggest mistake the person can have is this thought that chofesh, that being able to experience chofesh and chayus and simcha and so on, that comes by satisfying oneself more and more, and getting more, and collecting more, and having more. That's all, of course, a terrible mistake, and it's many times, billions of times, it's been proven. The person, it's hard to understand without really having strong self-awareness to recognize that the only moments in life that are truly worthwhile that we remember are the ones of going out, of being out of that place of the group, of doing and giving and so on. That's the chofesh of being in that world of pnimius. I go all the way. You can go all the way to the end of the back of the sefer. So here there are some longer notes. If you go to page Tuf Yud Zayin, all the way at the end, Tuf Yud Zayin. It's important to learn because it puts what the Mechaber is teaching us. It puts into the context of Pnimius HaTorah. And the week of Gevurah is now coming to an end. This week of Gevurah. So this is all about the Midah of Gevurah and how Hashem Yisbarach created the world. Hashem Yisbarach created the world by constricting His infinite light, by hiding His light. The Koach Tzimtzum, the Tzimtzum of His infinite self. Just by way of introduction, you and I are all created B'Tselem Elokim, in Hashem's image, and even though we're finite and we're just Bosef Adam, nevertheless there's an impulse, there's a very natural and healthy impulse of a person to shine his and her light. And because of that, it's hard sometimes to take a step back and to let somebody else's light shine. Right? It's hard. I once mentioned to you that there was a good friend of mine that was going on and on and on on the phone for a long, old friend of mine going on and on, telling me about his this and his that and his the other. And I was trying to listen and, to pay attention. And then he realized at some point, like after almost an hour, that he was so completely wrapped up in himself that he said to me, enough talk about me. What do you think about me? So there is such a thing where you have a tremendous amount, Baruch Hashem, to give. You have a tremendous amount of light. But Yeshua's light couldn't shine until Moshe Rabbeinu allowed it to. Now Moshe Rabbeinu left the world, and Yeshua began to shine. It doesn't mean that God forbid a person has to leave the world. But there are children who have unbelievable light, but their parents just don't give it a chance. And the same thing with teachers and their friend. So Hashem loves us. And Olam Chesed Yibanan, He created the world because of His love for us. But because He loves us so much, He hid His infinite light. Understand? He holds back His infinite light. And that's the greatest act of giving. Sometimes the greatest act of giving is by not giving. It's by not. That's Gevurah. It can be misunderstood as we misunderstand all the time Hashem's concealment. And it hurts. But this midah of Gevurah, like all the other midahs, from the 7 midahs of Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes, and so on, of course is rooted in the higher midahs of Chabad, of Chesed, of Chachma, Bina, and Das. And the beginning of Gevurah as it was taught to us in the Zohar Kodesh and Kisari, the beginning of Gevuras is in Bina. It's in the midah of Bina. That with there begins the separation and the possibility of withholding light and so on. So let's learn insight. A good way to be mechazik our connection to the midah of Gvur. Yesh mokum in Shabbos of Gvur. Yesh mokum lahamek oid b'soid shorish acherus u'makar. We need to understand the shorish of cherus, of freedom, the makar. Where does it come from? Shu'inin ha'oris habina. It comes from the or of bina. Now we know that the shorish of bina, of all creation, but in particular, where, as I mentioned, where Gvuras begin, there was that explosion of Hashem's light. And the beginning of Gvura is rooted in the tzimtzum, in Hashem's concealment, holding back, and Hashem hiding His infinite light. To make room, to leave a space for the world, in all worlds, to exist. Hashem had to conceal His infinite light. It's there, but it's concealed. It's hidden. Ha'em ha'elyana. Now, all of you know that Bina is associated with the mother, with our women. Eim habanim semecha. Banim, eim habanim is the midah of Bina. Bina yiseir in the Yeshim and Hayish. That's the midah of Chachma is the midah of the Zachar, and Bina is the quality of the mother of the woman. Bechinas chal b'panoi ha'eim ha'elyana. Now Bina is called ha'eim ha'elyana, the mother of koch of ha'eim ha'elyana. Ha'mahava mokem b'kir b'la'acherim. Now, the most obvious difference between a man and a woman, even though you could probably get arrested for saying that these days, is that contrary to what many college kids believe these days, women are the ones who have children. A guy could rent one, could buy one, could adopt one, could try to get one put together in a laboratory, in a factory or something, but that's not how it's been going on for a couple of years. So the inyan of the mother of Bina, which is Gvura, which is Simson, is that the mother is able to make space inside of herself to have another human being. Guys can't do that. Only a woman makes room, is mitzamtzim herself, so to speak. In her womb, there's space for another human being, even 2 or 3 sometimes. There are some people who had 4 or 5, I don't know how many it is, but a woman is the midah of creating a chal hapanui, emptying out a space for somebody else. Hamahava mokum b'kir b'al acheru. So same thing kivyachol with the Eim Helyana, with the midah of Bina, Hashem, midah of Bina. That Hashem in that respect is this quality of the Shechina of the mother to make space for us. That's creation. Without Tzimtzum, without Hashem holding back, without Hashem making it an empty, what appears to be an empty space, without His light, there couldn't be a world. The Gadlam ulatapcham, to make room for someone else and to raise, and to nurture, and to take care of. That's the midah of the mother. So this is so counterintuitive. Chayrus, freedom, comes from being able to hold back. in the world, people think Chayrus comes from being able to have everything and do everything you want. One's ability to take a step back, to be mitzamtzim, and to make a border for the spashtus, for the spreading forth of yourself. This mother has tremendous nachas from the child. From a child who is able to be his or her own person and to grow into something special. There are mothers who might make room in their wombs, as Hashem created them for a baby, but then once the baby is born, they suffocate the child. The child is not able to breathe. But that's not Chayrus. Chayrus is making room. More than self-expression, Chayrus is an act of tzimtzum, of self-constriction. Because this drive, this need that a person has, to express himself, it contains within it a measure of shibud, of enslavement. It's also a shibud. Because there's this feeling that I must say a drasha now. I must tell you what I think. Why? Because I love you, because I want to help you. I must show you the way. I must take care of this for you. I must do this for you. But the pnimis, it could be that person does not need you to do that for him. That's not for him, that's for you. That kid needs you to leave her alone and let her do it herself, like riding a bicycle or something, or growing up, stuff like that, basic things, just existence. Oh, you need to mother the child. The child needs to be able to have the independence to grow up. So there are people who are meshubed to shining their light, and it's very confusing because they're convinced that they're doing the right thing, that they're the nicest people, and they are nice people. But that is a shiba that can kill other people, and it also enslaves the person who's shining the light. You're meshubed to that. Shemuchach levate atzmo. Masha'en Roman was Ha'oras Habina. But then you have the Or of Bina. Roman was Ha'oras Habina. The exaltedness, the beauty of this Or of Bina. You remember the way the Mishkan was built? Now we're going through these parashas. The building, and now we're in. So the way that it was built, it was in Parshas Vayakov. Yomer el Moshe leimor marbim ha'am lahavi midei avodah l'mlocha shetziva Hashem lasei so v'tzav Moshe v'aviu kol b'machna leimor ish v'isha al yasu oid melacha l'trumas hakodesh. That when the Mishkan was being built, everybody was coming. They were just bringing all their stuff, and Moshe Benu was told marbim ha'am lahavi. They're bringing more than was necessary. It was much more than Hashem asked for. So v'yitzav Moshe, v'aviu kol b'machna, Moshe ben spread the word. Ish v'isha al yasu oid melacha l'trumas hakodesh. Stop giving. Stop giving l'trumas hakodesh. Stop. That doesn't happen usually in fundraisers, right? This was the first major fundraiser in history. I mean, for Am Yisrael. We've been doing it ever since, but this is the first major one. And Vayaviu kol b'machna lemer ish v'isha al yasu oid meloch l'trumas hakodesh. Don't press the button anymore for donations. Stop. Vayicholei ha'am mehavi. It's an interesting word. Vayicholei ha'am mehavi. Vav yud chaf lam aleph, like from the word basically like a prison. You can become imprisoned by that too. And to stop from the word vayichulu, to stop, to hold back, to get out of the prison, even of your own generosity, which at that time could be coming for different reasons, not just because of what's needed. You're supposed to give for what's needed. Hashem created the world for the world needed, in the way that the world needed that light. But more than that light would be destroying the world. So the way that the Mishkan was built, which is the Mishkan, the Mikdash, is the world of Kedusha, even now, when we don't have the Beis HaMikdash. It's the Remus Ha'aras Habina. Ha'aras Habina. You see how all of Torah mitzvahs is in the way of Shiurim. It's the way of Shiurim. Remember when the kids were babies, we lived in Queens, we had there was a Jewish woman that came to babysit. Because my wife was teaching, I was teaching, we had a babysitter. And she didn't know much about Yiddishkeit, a very, very nice lady. And it was Pesach time. My wife and I were just talking about this, we were laughing, and she wanted to show us how she keeps Passover. So she said that, she was talking about how the first Seder, they had, and the second Seder, that they had matzah, and they said, then for the third Seder, we went to my uncle and aunt. She kept on going on, but there were, I don't know, she had more than 2 storms she was going on. I guess. No, I don't know, where she got that from, but everything in Yiddishkeit has a shir. There's a shir. Lamata, Lamala. Chalamar B'Lasapra is a Meshubach. But the night of Pesach also ends. Even though it's Chalamar B'Lasapra, it doesn't say you should tell the story for the next 2 weeks. It also has a shir. There's a Kazayas, there's a Kibetza. How we do things. The dimensions of the Sukkah. I think it's with a shir. You want to make the tallest sukkah in the world? It's the first Mishnah in Masechta Sukkah. It's the Malam Me'asrim Am. They're shiurim. They're shiurim. The Or of Bina. The Or of Gevurah, of holding back, of limitation, of allowing a space for others. Shebegedulasa mafne mokem la'acheim. The greatness and the greatness of Bina. Mafne mokem la'acheim. She makes room for others. The inyan that women have with their space, with their home, with their apartment, with their place. Because the whole mechus of the woman is space, is to make space, is a place. Of course, I can go over all kinds of crazy things, like anything. But the mechus of it is very holy. And therefore, she's very connected to that space, and to see to it that everybody has their room and their place, and it's neat and it's taken care of, and so on. Mafna moken lacher, ve'na chasha bekach the chika shel atzma. The midah of Bina, she doesn't feel the chika shel atzma. I have to shine my light right now. I have to shine my light. We've spoken about this a lot over the years, that the Indian behind the panemius of feminism is something which is very, very much connected to Mashiach, to Gula, the Or of the Nekeva, the Or of Nukva, and the return and the restoration of Malchus Shemaim, and so on, is very much connected to the moon. So there's something very holy that's deep in the panemius of the whole Indian of feminism, which began really at the beginning of the 20th century with women's suffrage, but then more through the 50s, the 60s, and so on. But then when it becomes something which is about the self, then it's the antithesis of that malchus of Bina, of what the woman is. I have to be a rabbi. I have to count in a minyan. I have to be able to dance with the Torah in front of the Aron. Whatever those eyes consist of, it's so non-feminine. Because the whole or of the nekeva is, even the word nekeva is a word of lashon of nikuv, the Kadmonim say nekev, which means an opening, a space. That's the meaning of the word nekeva, a space, an opening. Like a nekev. That's what it means. Shasani kirtzana. She doesn't feel a tchika shel atzma. It's about me. It has to be me. It has to be my light, my way. She doesn't feel that. That's a guy's thing. If again, that's the sad, tragic thing about this Indian feminism is like any other midah, that when it's hijacked by the wrong people, then it becomes crazy. It becomes crazy. That a woman can come to a point in her life where she says, "I don't want to be a woman." Not just that I have to daven for the Omer. I have to be a man. I have to be a man. It's a very, very, very scary and strange thing. I have to be a man. She can't even make space for her own womanhood. Even for her own femininity, for her own womanhood, she can't make space for that. She has to be a man. Because the only way she feels that she can be herself is by having, not by making space for somebody else, even for her own self. But the midah of Bina in its pure state, Bina is the same way that she holds the baby in her womb, she's able to make space to have others in that space. Next page, Taf Yud Ches. Ke'em hanoises beno b'kirba, like the mother who's carrying the baby inside. V'neisenas koicha b'shvil gidulo, and she does everything so that baby to raise the child, but to raise the child. Not to raise herself through the child. You all know people like that. It's just a matter of raising herself through her child. If she can't, doesn't really. Those women, God forbid, they don't really hear what the child needs. They don't raise the child. They try to raise themselves through having that child. And therefore, it's not about what the child needs in life, what the child wants in life. And these mothers think of themselves as being the best super moms. But it's only about what they want. And they can't have it. They couldn't do it, so they want it through their kids. That's not what Bina is. Bina is making space for that child so that the child can grow, and by nurturing the child. When her son is kocha b'shvil gidulo, and she gives all of her koiches to raise somebody else, to help somebody else grow. That's unbelievable, going out of herself. That's Hashem. That's Olam Chesed Yibon. But the Chesed without Gevurah would be destruction. Would be just all the time my light, not making room for your light. V'zeh omek haratzon hamahusa, shenoad b'shvil ha'iras ha'olam. And through Bina, there is this biur, this clarification, the deepest clarification of what is Hashem's will in creation. What does Hashem want with creation? So we think that if you really loved us, you would just show yourself to us. But that's not true. The biur of the oimek haratzon hamahusa, of Hashem's love and Hashem's giving, shenoad b'shvil ha'iras ha'olam, which is to illuminate the world and for each and every one of us. Also to create worlds through this gevurah of tzimtzum. Latzmiach ol ha'atzim achayim, which is to give life to others, to strengthen others. That's what it means to go outside of yourself. Creation was Hashem going outside of himself. Kivyachol. Because himself is infinite light. And in order for you and I to live, Hashem does something very uncharacteristic of Yahweh. He hides himself. He hides his light. That's in order to allow others to grow, to become strong. I think there's an expression they use nowadays, a helicopter mom, something like that. I guess it means somebody a mother that's hovering over all the, is that? I don't know. Hovering over the child. It's confusing because she thinks that she's such a loving person. But it's very hard to distinguish between how much she loves herself and how much she loves the kid. If she loved the kid, she wouldn't be hovering over him. She would take care of him. She would nurture him. But she wouldn't be helicoptering. That inyan of hovering over the child comes from the person's self-love, not love of the child. And that's why it's so confusing. That's why so many of those women, those mothers, have children who are also very broken with that. They never were able to breathe. Children weren't able to breathe. And the mother never understands why are these children so upset with me? Which they often are. I did everything for you. I gave my life up for you. And the children know deep inside, they might not be able to understand it intellectually. No, you did everything for yourself and you used me. It was all about you. It was never about us. It was about you. Because if it was about us, we'd be healthy, well, and breathing. It was about you. And you're thinking that you need to feel that you are the best mom in the world because of how you controlled us. And how everything had to be just the way that you wanted. Because it was about you, it wasn't about us. It's a very dangerous thing that women often slip into. It's very, very, very easy to slip into that. It's a kilkel of the midah of bina. It's a terrible, terrible kilkel. Broken bina. Which then becomes a gvuras. Stop gvuras, which is terrifying. That's why these children are angry with their mother. And the mother is baffled because the mother says, I don't understand. She says to her husband, I didn't do everything for them. I didn't do everything for them. And the husband, if he has a little bit of seichel, will keep quiet. If he has even more seichel, he'll say something nice. But within himself, he knows that, no, you didn't do everything for them. You used them to do everything for yourself. And your children were only an extension of satisfying yourself. Because you couldn't get what you wanted just by yourself. But you will through your kids. And so you're ready to kill anybody that gets in the way of that. That's gvuras. That's gvuras that hurt, that cause pain. Because since Bina is the awakening of gvura, when it's in Kedusha, it gives life. It gives life. There are no mothers that are more beloved to their children and beloved to the world. But when it's miskalkel, when it's damaged, then that bina is not bona, it's not building, it's destroying. And it brings terrible feeling of resentment. You didn't make a space for us. I carried you in my room, yeah, but after that it was downhill. Shkoyach. For the space, for the rental. But after that, it was downhill. It was all about you, ma. It wasn't about us. The true bina is latzmiach lahatzim acheru. It's a very, very big, you start to understand this. And it's not just about the women. Of course, men also do this. It's the midah of bina. But men that are like that too. Obviously, there are men that have more netiya towards gevura, and that can come out in all different ways. When the ratzon is expressed in its highest form, azay misadeinu, v'naseh rocha b'rechayvais hanahar. That's an expression that's used in Kabbalah for this. What we're talking about, it becomes expansive, even though gvura itself Gvura means tzimtzum, right? Gvura means holding back. But when it is expressed, when it's manifested in its highest form, it's rochav b'rchayvos hanahar. It's expansive like a wide river. That's the tachlis of Gvuras of tzimtzum. Expansiveness. And this becomes a source of life, just like that beautiful river. It becomes a source of life. Because it's Noach lahavai kula. All of creation enjoys this. This mother, this river, all enjoys. Because it gives life. How does it give life? By making room for you, for me, for others. And nurturing. Just like the waters of the river. But the waters of the river stay within their boundaries, in order that everything around it can live. And that's the same that's the midah of bina. And when you're a person like this, when this midah of bina is healthy in you, whether you're a guy or a girl, but you're in this place of bina misukenes, bina that's repaired, that's strong, that's good, then something amazing happens. You could have connections to lots of people. Tzimtzum, where usually you would think of somebody who's by himself, right? Tzimtzum. No, and you know why? Because you have space for everybody. Without feeling that they are chaining you, that they are imprisoning you. You don't have that feeling. Because bina means cheres, means free. Well, koach habina. This is the koach of bina. You see, very often going back to this damaged bina, this mashal of the mother with the damaged bina, she becomes very, very resentful because she feels that because of my kids, I can't do what I want to do. So then we ask her, hey, Mom, every speech you ever gave us is that you live for us, right? Everything you ever do, you said everything you ever do is only for us. So why are you so angry that you're missing your like aerobics class today? Or why are you so angry that the house isn't the way that you wanted it to be or something? Like, why are you getting so stressed out by everything? Because damaged bina is a stressful life. Because here she thinks that I'm the ultimate giver. I'm constantly doing for my children. Why are you so angry about doing for your children? Why are you so angry about how much time they take up in your life? My mother's always on sign. I never saw ever in her a tnuah, an Indian, that my sister and I were cutting into her life, into her show. We never felt that at all. We were never an interruption. Okay, there were only two of us. It's not the same if you have kind of a bigger cheres. It's much harder. It's usually. I'm not saying it's easy, but I never felt that it was an interruption to her life. She never gave us that feeling. It was never ever about her. Ever. Mr. Shem, I'm going to see her in a little while, and I know she should be there and healthy and well when I get there. And the first thing when I walk in is, Maish, did you have breakfast? Now sometimes in the morning she wants to have had supper. But did you eat? And then she says to the aide, bring Maish a banana. He likes bananas. But she remembers it's true when I was a little kid. I mean, I got over it, but she still has bananas. When I was little, I used to eat a lot of bananas. That was a big joke in the family. So there's always give him a banana. I said, Ma. And when my father was alive, so my mother with the food thing, and my mother was, and I wasn't hungry. I just came back from yeshiva. I ate something in yeshiva, and I cooked that. My mother would bring me something and say that, and I would say, "No, Ma, I'm not." My father would look at me, and he would just look was just eat it, because that was saying make room for your mother. But it was never an interruption to her program. I never felt that ever. That she had something she wanted to do, and I got in her way. Because had lots of things she was doing, wanted to do, but it was never getting in her way. But the mothers that march with this self-righteousness of being mothers of the year, or of the decade, or the century, and my whole thing is, and how could you not let me sleep? They're resentful that the kid woke her up, but the kid's not going to sleep. I wanted to sleep, and you woke me up. You know, babies do that, but you had a different plan. So if you have enough money, you could have staff. But what if you don't? Then this mother of the year is resentful because her kid wakes her up. Because it was not about the kid. It's about the mother. I'm not saying that doesn't mean that a woman can't be tired and be a little bit annoyed. I'm not saying that's. Please don't take it that way. It's not what it means. I'm talking in the sugi. I'm not talking about the dragas and sugis and so on. So you would think that tzimtzum is something that makes you into somebody who's apart and lonely. Because tzimtzum means holding back. Just the opposite. It's really ma'achedus u'mechaberes, the most loving people, the most connected people. Aim habanim kulam, the mother of many children. Aim habanim kulam. So many times over these, I told this story about that just a few weeks ago about the Satmar Rebbe Skusi Elena, that there was somebody came from an Israeli came. It's a very famous story. The Israeli came and was crying to the Rebbe about something. This child, he brought a kid here for an operation in a hospital in New York, and they didn't have any insurance, they didn't have any money, and he came to Satmar Rebbe to raise. He came to Satmar Rebbe to get money. He heard somebody told him that the Satmar Rebbe helps people, and he went to Satmar Rebbe. And this guy was a secular Israeli who was writing horrible articles against the Satmar Rebbe for years in one of the Israeli newspapers. And he told the Rebbe his maisa, whatever, the child, and the Rebbe gave him a lot of money. And then when the man left, the Gabbai came running in because the Gabbai found out who the guy was now. And he said, "This is so and so who writes all these horrible articles." And the Rebbe said, "Go get him." And he went to get him. And the Rebbe took out and gave him more money. He said, "I don't want you to think that Chas v'Chalila have something against you. That your child should have a foolish life." What does that mean? Because the Rebbe's place could have been, "I can't believe this. You're coming to ask me for money? You're coming to..." And we'll take Rav Kook. Okay, we'll go from Satmar to Rav Kook. Everybody knows that Rav Kook was busy day and night writing all kinds of documents and letters to help people who were disgusting to him, who abused him. And he was raising money for them and helping them. And it's amazing that they would have the nerve to go to him. But, he was very, very, the British had tremendous respect for Rav Kook. And he was the chief rabbi. And you had all these chevra in Yerushalayim, people that wanted us to come from Chutzars to Eretz Yisrael. And Rav Kook was busy. And some of these people, wasn't stunned that they wrote articles against him. They were trying to destroy his life. And it didn't stop Rav Kook or the Satmar Rebbe, these tzaddikim, from feeling, this is my brother. Because that's your space. And Rav Kook would tell people that that's what he believes in. He believes that I'm the incarnation of the devil or something. But that doesn't mean his kid doesn't need a yeshua. Or it doesn't mean I can't get him a visa. It's not the normal way in the world. But that's Bina in its purest form. Eim habanim kulam. And therefore the big tzaddikim can get along with any kind of it. Get along. So the Satmar Rebbe, you read his farm, you think, wow, boy, is he angry. And he's got I wouldn't want to go near this person. He's this I'm a little bit, I do say hello on your smooth maybe this person's thinking, and I'm going to go to the Satmar Rebbe, he's going to burn me with his eyes, like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, I'm going to get burnt alive with the Satmar Rebbe's eyes. When you walk into the Rebbe, you know what you see? You can walk in there with a kippah suga that says on it, I say Hallel b'yom ha'atzmaut. Ani omer Hallel b'yom ha'atzmaut. It says on your yarmulke, you walk in, you know what the eyes you see? The most loving eyes. What? 100%. You say it with a bracha. You can say, Ani omer Hallel b'yom ha'atzmaut. Im bracha, bib bracha. And you walk in there, and it's not really looks at the yarmulke. The most loving, warm eyes. The person doesn't understand. But I thought the Rebbe has wrote all that stuff, anti-Zionist stuff and all that. Yeah, the Rebbe would say, please, try to rethink your mahalach in life because you're holding Mashiach back from the world. Don't do that. But do I have room for you? I have room for you. Do I have room? Do you have room for somebody? You're a parent and you have a kid that God forbid is off the derech. Do you have room for that kid? You better have room for that kid. You better make sure you have room for that kid. Well, you only have room for your kid if he's from. If he's like you. What about your kid's not from? What if your kid doesn't want to keep Shabbos, God forbid? Your kid doesn't want to wear yarmulke, doesn't want to wear a nice skirt or sleeves. But then you stop having room. No, you have. The midah of bina means you have a big room with lots of room. That's what it means. Means of course, you know that on that. I personally think that you should wear yarmulke. I think that you should keep Shabbos, and that's how I raised you. I'm not going to lie to you. Of course, it's disappointing, but I have room for you. Ganesh, I have room for you. And you know what's the amazing thing? Because many of those kids, if they see that in their parents, and they believe that in their parents, they climb back into that space. They come back in. But for the super moms and the super dads and the fafrumta ones and all of that stuff that don't make any space for their kids, unless the kid is exact like me, after all, because I'm the super dad, I'm a super mom. I did everything for you. How can you not be like me? So why would that kid come back in? You didn't make any space for him. He's shut out. So where's it to go? There's nowhere to go. But the midah of bina in its healthy way is aim habonim kulam. Aim habonim kulam. Yesh li makom. Guys, I have a room for you. Come in. You could say, please don't turn on any lights over here on Shabbos. You have a younger brother, younger sister, whatever. Have respect. Okay, talk about it. Talk to the younger brother and sister about it if they're old enough to understand. But we have room for you over here. This is your home. It's a different mahalach. So Bina doesn't make you into a person who's apart from others. Just the opposite. Bina makes you into a person who has room for others. How? Because you're able to hold back your own light. What does that mean, to hold back your own? It means it doesn't mean that my way is the only way, or this is the only light, that this has to be this, that you hold back. Like I was just telling Rav Kook in the Sat Rebbe. And even these great tzaddikim, who was left up to them, they just want to be in a place of dveikus b'Hashem. This tzaddik doesn't need to ask you how you're feeling, what's going on. The tzaddik wants to be in this place of dveikus b'Hashem, to sit on a mountaintop and to think about God and to learn Torah. But we see that by these tzaddikim, the friendliest, warmest people, taking the deepest interest in your life and who are you and what's going on and how can I help you? Mu'ravim b'das and habriyas. Doesn't take them apart. Noichim l'nevroim. People feel comfortable with them. Noichim l'nevroim. Umashlimim rotzen kulam be'ahava. And they try to help everybody be'ahava, with love. What you need, be'ahava. Not what I need. What do you need? Kol od lo baha adam licholos lishlot gam be'etzem mitzana. As long as a person is not able to control his own ruts, what I want, as long as he's not able to feel free from expressing himself, from his own expressing himself, he's meshubed to expressing himself, meaning to what he wants. Again, even if it means to saying a Dvar Torah, whatever. But that's not what they need, that Dvar Torah. Or they don't need you going on for another hour or something like that, which I'm guilty of all the time. If you can't free yourself from that, then you're a slave to those ritzinus, and you're ignoring the other people around you who don't need it right now. You'll have a father of a newborn baby gets up at the bris and he gives a halacha pilpul for 25 minutes. You ever see that? You ever see such a thing? It's strange. First of all, there's still also people that have to go to work, right? I mean, more people working at home, but people even if they're working at home, they have to get to work. And there are 95% of the people in the room plus that don't know what you're talking about. What difference does it make? Because it's all about me. Saying a pilpul. What are you saying a pilpul at 7:30 in the morning when there are grandmothers over here? What are you doing? What is that? What is that? I've had this discussion with people over the years, you know. So when people like to offer their opinions about how I speak and when I speak and something, because I do a lot of that, you might have noticed, which I'm totally happy stepping aside. But can you say something like this? It should be sharper like that, or more complicated. Like this. I'm not. You do what you do, and I do what I do. I might be wrong, but I get up on a Shabbos morning to all different kinds of people over here. I can't satisfy all of them. I'm not trying to satisfy them. I'm trying to teach Torah. And there are some people that don't understand the word of Hebrew. There's some that's a clap that's a heart from a miserable week, and other things that are going on. Every person has their own needs. I'm sorry, I'm not here to satisfy your need. If it didn't work this week, go find a rabbi that takes care of it. Seriously, what am I going to do? I don't necessarily think that 75-80% of the people in this room needed a pilpul right now. When I was younger, I did a lot more of that. And as I got older, I've stopped doing that so much. Those who knew me when I was 25, 26, it was dangerous. But I look back and it wasn't it. I'm not saying that everything is great now, the way I do things. There's lots of problems and mistakes now I do things. But no, that was about my wanting to say over something. And it didn't make a difference whether it was for you or wasn't for you. It'll be for that one person that will enjoy it and will think, oh, this is a gewaldige thing this is. What a great pilpul, what a great pshat. So lo shaveh klum. You speak Hebrew? Klum.
Does that come from the Rebbeim? Maybe this is a new thing that they give these Gemara shiurim. Who gives that?
By Briz.
Yeah, what is that?
I first saw that when I was around 19, and there was somebody from the shul that had a son that was, and I had never seen that before until that time. There's always you get up and thank your family and say like a vart from the from a pasuk of vart and to thank your family and let's bench, go to work. It's a strange thing.
The Rebbeim tell them to do this?
I never heard it from my Rebbeim. I'm sure they have an explanation for it, but to me it's just something which is another type of religious self-indulgence that I find to be nauseating. When are you going to be free from expressing yourself? The Dvar Torah that you're saying at the table, Shabbos, is that what your kid needs to hear? Or is that what you needed to say? Maybe it would have been better for your kids that Shabbos to say nothing, but just to tell a couple of funny stories and a joke. Maybe just a joke or two. And that would have been fine. That would have been what they needed. Not. It says in the parasha. Listen, that's great. Parasha Shemini is the best parasha in the Torah. But you have to try to understand. Like, is this about you? Or is it about making space for others? And if you have a little bit of self-awareness, you might notice the eyeballs that are rolling all over you, all around the place. A little bit of self-awareness. Just, when are you going to be free of that need? You can't, if you can't free yourself, then you can be the smartest person in the world, and you feel like, wow, I was able to say my thing, but you're not free. You're enslaved to your need to impress, to say, to do, whatever it is. And these people tend to feel more freedom when they're away from everybody. And they can be potter from people. Because they don't want to hear everybody else's inyanim. And they don't want to have to make space for everybody else. So when can they have their own space? When they have their own space. There's nobody that's in my way. Again, you might need a few people just to be able to sit there and listen to him. Understand? But that's not called friendship. That's not called being a father or a friend. That's just called hiring an audience. Like, you have some rebbes that they have the gaboin pay people to come to the dish, So you pay. How do you pay your kid to come to your table? By feeding him. So you pay people to come to your dish, like one of those rebbes, those little rebelach, They have the son-in-law running around paying Jews in Yerushalayim to come to the dish. So you're also a rebel. How do you pay your kids to come to the dish? How do you pay your kids to come to the dish? By giving them supper. If it was up to them, they'd rather be with their friends, not with you. You know why? Because it says in the parsha. And again, I know that someone's going to make a clip of that, and then they're going to come out with Weinberg as opposed to saying parsha Shavua. Those are the same ones that say the pilpulim by the bris. You ask where it comes from. Why is it that this person is not so fond of being in the company of others? Because they cut into my show. They take up my space. They don't. This person doesn't. This person has what to say. I have what to say, and if I listen to what he has to say, then I can't say what I want to say. So I got to go away from him. It doesn't allow me to have this spashtus of myself. Or there could be others who will tell him to be quiet already. There's the danger of others stopping you, or limiting you. You don't want to. You want anybody to tell you what to do. But you're beginning to notice that other people are being insulted or being hurt by you because of the way you're pushing in the way that you need that to be whatever you're the king or whatever it might be. So people are getting insulted and being hurt. So it's uncomfortable to be with them because you're insulting and hurting people. That's another reason why you might tend towards being more to yourself. However, when a person comes to the true light of Bina, or Bina Ha'elyona, Shifas Acherus Agmur, which is absolute freedom, as I shoyled gam be'etzem haratzon ha'atzmi, that you're in control of your own ratzon, like Hashem, who held back His light. Hashem's ratzon is infinite light. You're in control, be'etzem haratzon ha'atzmi, to hold back ratzon ha'atzmi. V'yadei letzamtzema v'lahagbil spashtuso. And you know how to constrict it, to hold it back from going on. And you find or, and you find brach, and you find joy in hearing what other people have to say, and enjoying their light, and experiencing their light, and how they express themselves. In the light of Bina, you enjoy that. You have nachas from that. V'nasa ohuv ala brios, and this person becomes beloved to other people. A person who has this aura bina is beloved by other people. V'samech b'shutfus imam, and he's happy to work together with other people. It doesn't have to be, you have some of that in your office that you work with. This it has to be his. No, it's simcha to work with other people. And this person brings the aura of shalom, of shalom to everybody in his world and her world. And this person himself and herself has gewaldige simcha, gewaldige nachas and simcha. Not resentment, not anger. How come my kid is different than me? How come my kid woke me up? Because true simcha is only to be with Amchi Yisrael, to be with other Jews. Again, it doesn't mean that there's not time to be as part of this, of course. But the simcha of being together with Am Yisrael. Not by being yourself. What? Yitzias harotzen atzmi lecheres. Shioch lochush rotzen atzmi levato ach bekach kol lecheres v'loy lesimcha. Uchshabal madreges hacheres al yoyna. Of course, first you have to find yourself. The child grows up, has to find himself, herself, and to come to understand himself. That's a very selfish kind of a thing, because you're just finding yourself. But the tachlis of this is to come to cheres al yoyna. The tachlis is not to just get stuck in that place, then you're never matured. Really, you're smart and sophisticated, and you have degrees and stuff, but you're still a baby. The beginning is to find yourself, but then the tachlis of cheres al yoyna, Lord says, is to get out of that need to find yourself and express yourself. That's when you're a kid. That's when you're growing up. But now, cheres al yoyna is to make room for others. As I brought cheres hagemura, hamavi ima is simcha hagedola, and that will bring you to feel simcha gedola, which is that's what it says. Aim habanim, which is the mother of aim habanim, which is bina. Aim habanim, semecha, haluga, semecha, the biggest simcha. Those are the happiest mothers in the world. Those are the happiest fathers in the world. Those are the happiest people in the world. The ones who have that room and who are able to be sholet on their own mitzaynus, to make room for others and to invite others into that space. That's Eim Abanim Samecha. That's the cheres. That's what it means to be mamish shvi. When we left Mitzrayim, we had to drive around for 40 years to get to our space, and we still don't have it yet. There's still cockroaches in our space running all over the place. When Jews make space for other Jews, then those cockroaches will go away. You want to see? The cockroaches will go away. When we make space for each other, the cockroaches will go away. And then it'll be a molars there as Hashem Karein Lam Chas. Shabbos.
Funny thing.